Hey, what's up, Reign superfans? Welcome back to another episode. Tonight we are going to be breaking down Season 4, Episode 12, and there's so much drama, so stick around.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hey, hey, hey. Oh, we always open up with our favorite song.
Yes, we
right?
do.
Yes. Hey, what's up, guys? I'm your host, Alina Vision. You can follow me on all social media at Alina Vision. And I'm here with my gorgeous co-host, Lina.
Look who's talking. Hey, everyone. I'm Lina Noory. You can find me on Instagram at Lina Noory and Twitter at Lina Noory _. And I'm so glad to be here with my gorgeous mole twin and name twin.
Exactly. It's just the two of us tonight. Unfortunately, Phil and Keaton couldn't make it, but Keaton will be back next week, and Phil will be back the week after that. And next week we have some special guests, so you'll definitely want to stick around for that and see that. But let's get into tonight.
Yes.
A lot happened. Let's start over in England with Elizabeth and Gideon.
Oh my God.
Ooh, girl. So Elizabeth is now paranoid that people are after her. I mean, she's always kind of been paranoid, but she's taken it to the next level. What do you think about that?
It's funny. I mean, as a queen, her throne is always at risk. So I understand that aspect where she's extremely paranoid, but it's like, you're paranoid, and then she gets caught with Jane on the beach, and Jane runs into her and Gideon, and she has Lola flashbacks and lets her go. But then we see her at the end of this episode talking to somebody in a letter, telling them like that she's basically spying on Queen Elizabeth. So it's like, why did you let her go? So for someone that's so paranoid, why did you let Jane go? I can't believe it. I was like on my bed, like about to throw my pillow at the screen, like don't let her go.
There's a lot of moments like that.
I know.
Tonight I was like, oh, I just want to chuck something at the screen. But yeah, I mean, she's really, really paranoid, and I think it's because obviously there's so many people that are after her crown and want to see her go down. Same with Mary, obviously. But I liked the fact that Gideon took her away. It was like, look, we gotta get you out of this because you're starting to like lose it, literally. Especially when she had Jane test the tea, and then she's like, oh no, the tea's ruined now, go back. I mean, that's how you know that maybe you're going a little bit too far. But I mean, I get why she is, and I was so glad that Gideon got her out of there. But what do you think about this whole Gideon relationship, knowing that she's about to be engaged to the Archduke?
I feel like as women, we don't know how to separate love from life. So as a queen, she should understand that she's putting herself in a questionable position because she's supposed to be a virgin. And then now Jane runs into them on the beach in this like romantic setup, and she really doesn't know who she can trust. So in the beginning of the episode, she's telling Gideon, she's like, I have nobody to trust. I don't know who to trust in my court. They're either planning my engagement party or they're planning my funeral or my death.
Right.
So you would think that she would be a little bit more cautious with Gideon. So the fact that she even agreed to the whole getaway, I was extremely shocked because, you know, people recognize her and she can't have any question of her virtue, and she puts herself in such a questionable position. So it's like, for a woman that's constantly like, I need to, you know, I need to be queen, and I need to have my virtue, and I need to protect myself, she puts herself in some pretty compromising situations.
Right.
So it's like, why? Like, why are you doing that? Like, WTF, stop it.
I think she does it because she's like in love, and we all know love makes everything a little foggy sometimes.
Love makes us go crazy.
Exactly, and I think she's totally in that. And Gideon just has this way, and we saw it with Mary. He has a way of making people just feel like that comfort.
Yeah.
You know, and like everything's gonna be okay if they're with him. So I think she's just wrapped up in all of that.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, you know, let's go. And this is obviously a time when there was no social media. So not everyone per se knows what she looks like. So
True, yeah.
I mean, I could see why she was like, okay, we'll go to some random secluded beach that you have a house at, and I should be fine. I'm dressed, you know, kind of as a commoner. But here's the tricky thing. I thought it was a little bit odd that out of all the places in England, Jane went to that spot. I kind of think she was spying on them. I don't know. It was just a little odd that all of a sudden she pops up right there.
No, absolutely. And at the end of the episode, she's writing that note and she says that she's spying on her. So obviously it wasn't that much of a coincidence that of all the beaches, she's on the same exact beach. But it was almost like intentional. But then is it intentional? Because she could have possibly had her head chopped off for it. So do I think that it was intentional? Maybe she wanted one up on her to like make her comfortable, because now that, you know, Elizabeth sees that she's back to her duties, maybe she's gonna feel more comfortable, open up more to her. But it's like, it could be someone protecting her, it could be somebody against her. You really never know in this season who's with you or who's against you.
Darling, that's Reign. That is Reign, as we have come to find out. It was really weird that she popped up on the beach. And yeah, let's, speaking of her writing that letter, who do you think that letter was to? Or should we save that for predictions? Should we talk about it now or should we save it for predictions?
Let's save that for predictions.
Okay, that's such a good one. Okay, we'll save that one for predictions. What do you think is going to happen with Gideon and Elizabeth now?
Honestly, I think Elizabeth just needs to get her things in line. She needs to get it all together. You're a queen, your reign is questionable, you're a female, you don't have an heir. Let's be real. I mean, she has a gorgeous guy, the Duke, that wants to marry her. Even though I think there's like a little bit more to that we're going to find out probably in the next couple episodes. So she has everything in line for her, and she's just ruining it with Gideon. And it's like, for me, Gideon, if you love Elizabeth, let her marry the Duke, let her have a secure marriage and have a possible heir. Because obviously, they're very open about their relationship. Even the Duke in the last episode, not the one most recent one, but the one before that, he kind of like glanced over, and I feel like he sensed something between them two. So it's like, do you want to have a secure reign, or do you want to have this hopeless love? Like, which one is it?
Right.
And as a queen, you can't have both. You have to decide, unfortunately.
Exactly. Knowing from what we know from history, obviously she doesn't get married. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding. But yeah, I think that obviously this is not going to end well for her. I think it's going to kind of blow up. But then maybe it's like one of those subconscious things, like that's what she wants, and so that's why she keeps putting herself in these positions.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, if we look at history, her father had her mother killed.
Yeah.
So, as we know, if you grow up in a family where there's a lack of love, I mean, not to get all like therapeutical right now, but if you're lacking love, you kind of are seeking that love. So I feel like with Gideon, like you said, he makes her feel comfortable. She gets that love. But in reality, being with Gideon doesn't make her comfortable, because her throne is at risk. And at any given time, she could literally have her head chopped off.
Right, yeah.
So she's not really getting that actual comfort. She's getting that fake comfort that, when we, as women, when we're seeking that love, we kind of get lost in all of our emotions. So she needs to start thinking clearly.
Yeah, she's in the fog of love.
Yes.
So I think that wraps up England pretty much.
Yeah.
That was pretty much the English story. Let's hop over to France.
Oh my God, so much happened in France.
Oh my goodness. Okay, let's start with Charles. Charles and Catherine, because Catherine's spell kind of lingered into this episode, and Charles is like, grown some cojones.
I know, right?
know?
Well, I mean, we talked about what potentially could have happened. And as we saw, it was actually affecting Charles. Like, Charles is chopping heads off.
Yeah.
He's shooting his brother in the hand with the apple in his hand and the arrow.
What did you think about that scene, like when he did that?
We need to call Jerry Springer, because the Valois family has some major issues.
Right?
Like, Jerry Springer, knock, 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 Maury Povich, somebody. This family has some real issues. This scene was incredible. I remember I'm just sitting there and I'm like, how is this going to end?
Right.
Is he going to agree to the challenge? Is he going to let him put the apple on top of his head? He's basically could potentially kill his brother, which works out in his favor either way.
Because it was an accident.
Yeah.
He's the king. Who's going to tell him anything?
No, absolutely. But it's like, I feel like Charles is the underdog, and I'm so excited that he's just grown, as you said, these new cojones. So he's like sitting there, he's acting manly, he's acting kingly, and there's even a part where Narcisse kind of like glances over at him when he does the challenge. And I feel like Narcisse was kind of like, wow, like he was like, he's actually acting like a king.
Right.
But then obviously we saw that it ended up with him chopping heads off, literally. I mean, like, what was that?
Englishman, yeah, which could
Potentially starting a war.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I think he's so scared, and we saw obviously him talking to Catherine. He's really scared, and I think that kind of was like the theme for all the royals, I feel like, in this episode. Like, we saw how Elizabeth is scared that somebody's poisoning her or against her. He's scared that, he's not a good enough king. Mary's just scared of her husband. Which is like the worst.
I swear to God,
we'll get there. Oh, girl, we'll get there.
Donnelly, if you're watching, I hate you.
No, but he's the nicest guy. We'll get to that, though. We'll get to that. But yeah, I just feel like Charles is that one scene was amazing with him and the apple.
Oh my God.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I love how Catherine was like, oh yes, I did this. She thinks like her spell totally worked. And then she sees, the heads coming in. She's like, oh God. Went a little bit too far.
You know what's funny? So you brought up a super important point, I think, for this episode, which is fear.
Right.
So I feel like fear has kind of taken over all of Reign, and everyone is acting out of fear. Even Donnelly, who I feel a certain way about, and we'll get into that later.
You're feeling all kinds of ways about it.
Is acting out of fear. Mary is acting out of fear.
Right.
Elizabeth is acting out of fear. Charles, who we saw, actually confides in his mother, which I thought was such a touching moment, because we kind of saw that dark side come out of him, and he was doing all that vampire-y blood stuff.
And he was like pushing everyone away at that time, like not saying what was wrong. Now he was like actually,
opening up.
Yeah.
So I thought that was such an important point in the episode, because I was kind of wondering, like, did this voodoo really get to him? But then you see him super vulnerable, talking to his mom about how he's scared. And honestly, there's a part of me that understands how he feels, because we're constantly just making decisions and acting out of fear. And if we just learn how to control our fear, we would make such better decisions in life, let alone what's going on in the show.
Right.
So I can see where he came from, because he's like, either I act out and, he's like, already, my sister questions my judgment, my, throne questions my judgment, my brother questions my judgment. So he's like, I have to act out and show England that I'm in control and I am the king. So I can kind of understand where he's coming from in this.
Yeah, definitely. But he did say that for a while, like, he felt a sudden rush of strength, and then all of a sudden it went away. So that had to have been Catherine's spell. Because, she threw the voodoo doll in the fire once Claude found her.
Yeah.
Like, she was like, oh my God, I gotta redo this. I gotta do another spell. Like, totally. I love Catherine. I just love her character. But yeah, I mean, she loves to give people strength, especially she's totally rooting for Charles. And it'll be interesting to see where this all ends up, especially now that strength he had is gone and his brother is just waiting in the curtains. Like, he's waiting for his opportunity, like he said in this episode.
And it's funny because, ironically, Mother's Day is here.
Right.
I think Happy Mother's
Happy
Day, by
Mother's
the way,
Day. Happy
to
Mother's
all
Day,
you
Mom.
strong,
Exactly.
beautiful women out there.
Exactly.
There's nothing better than a woman. Totally kidding. We're all beautiful. But speaking of Mother's Day, Catherine has come such a long way as a mother from season 1 till now. She made tons of questionable decisions.
Oh, yeah.
And as we know, parenting definitely isn't easy, so I think she's doing her best.
You learn and you grow as you go.
But I feel like she's grown so much since season 1. And even this last season, when her daughter came from Spain, she was truly apologetic. She understood that her daughter was acting out, and she said to her, I understand I wasn't the best mother. So it's like, we've seen so much growth as a mother in Catherine. And honestly, I think she's incredible. She still, with the voodoo, I think she went a little bit too far. But she was trying to protect both of her sons, because she understands the consequences, that one of them will inevitably end up dead. And even with Claude, I feel like she's trying to gear Claude in the right direction. She's telling Claude, hey, I see you opening up to your husband. You can love him. It's okay. Because, Claude had her whole question of, I don't want to break my promise. And that's so sweet of her. But Luke is such a gem.
Right? Hello.
Especially,
look at what you got in front of you. Don't mess that up.
He's good looking. He's nothing like his father, at least so far.
No, he's not. Yeah. Like, he's a good guy, and he's good looking,
and he loves her.
And he loves her, and he wants to just do everything for her, make her happy. Like, hello.
I know. Dude, and no pressure. You can be with me, give me an air, still be with Laith. What man will let you do that?
None.
He has zero ego.
Luke
honestly,
will.
He has. We've seen a huge commonality between a lot of the male characters in this show is monstrous egos. And I feel like Luke is one of the only characters that has zero ego. Even Leith had a huge ego. Like, he was still gonna get Claude, and he chose money over Claude, and Claude still feels like she owes him. You owe him nothing. He chose money over you. Luke is there. He's amazing. He loves you. Claude, do the right thing. Be with the good guy. The good guy has to get the girl.
All right. Hashtag Claude, do the right thing.
Hashtag happily ever after.
I know. I think it finally kind of hit her, though, when he found the letter that was intercepted and it was going to Leith and saying, you know, I'm gonna find you after I have this guy's kid.
Yeah.
Which, come on, Claude, let's not do that.
I know.
That's doing him dirty. And, you know, I totally understood. Like, I get where he's like, I've done everything I possibly can for you. Like, let's just call this what it is. And I think at that moment, I saw it in her face, like, oh God, what have I done? Like, you know?
Okay, so it's so funny. At that exact point, I was thinking to myself, Claude is like every girl. We have the good guy. We don't appreciate them.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen her series of men before, you know, she was married to Luke, and even before she was with Leith. I feel like Leith kind of brought this goodness out of her.
Right.
And we can at least thank him for that.
Right.
But she was always with guys, and she was having random affairs and didn't care about the fact that she was a princess and totally acting out, looking for attention. And then she has this perfect guy that like wants to give her everything, is patient with her, is understanding. And it's like the second he puts his hand down and says, listen, I'm done, after he read that note. And in her defense, I mean, this is not like Facebook or in the DM where you get the message instantly. She probably sent that weeks ago before she's kind of seen like the different side to him, which is why she's like, no, like, I am falling for you, but it's like, now it's too late. And when Luke walks out, like, I felt her heart drop.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, now she wants him. Now that he's rejecting her.
Because you always want what you can't have.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when he was the good, loving guy, she didn't want him. And now she wants him. It's, women, stop it, please.
Yes.
We have so much growth to do.
But we love French court.
Yes, we do.
This is why. So much drama with the family.
So much.
So much.
We need Dr. Phil.
I know.
Like, Dr. Phil needs to come
to
fix
just
all
sit
these
down.
relationships. Family relationships, mother-daughter, mother-son,
Mother-son,
brothers.
everything. Yeah, Catherine called Claude out. She did.
Yeah, she did.
She called her out. I like Catherine for that.
I love Catherine lately.
Me too. I want Catherine to come back to Scotland.
I do too.
And, like, take care of Darnley.
She just handles everything.
She
like,
does.
with such poise.
Yes, she totally does. Speaking of Scotland, let's head over there. Let's head over to Scotland. At the beginning of the episode, we see that there's an earthquake.
Yeah.
In Scotland, and people's houses came down. They need relief, and Mary's, you know, supposed to be going into her treasury, I guess you could say, and pay for it. Turns out her awesome husband has like depleted it. So, yeah, how did you feel about that?
Darnley, just stop. I don't. Why? He just doesn't stop. I mean,
No, he has zero chill.
zero. Like,
Yeah.
the scene where Mary walks in and he's with the Russian nice girl. You know.
It's so funny because I actually follow Will Kemp on Twitter, and he was tweeting about this episode, and he called her the Russian whore.
Oh, he did? So, sorry.
Yeah, he's like, there's going to be a lot of wine and, you know, Russian whores and everything for Darnley.
So
That's
I'm gonna quote Will Kemp on this and call her the Russian whore. But just the scene, he has like his leg open and the girl's just sitting there, and he's like, oh, and she doesn't even speak English. And
Yeah, right.
he's like, oh, do you want to save your people? Or do you want to bring me back to court? Like, how much of a piece of work can you be?
Yeah.
You're willing to let people die over your ego? Like, I know we spoke last episode, and Phil was saying he's just like a little kid and he's demanding
Right,
attention.
yeah.
But he's just totally skipped over little kid to like the devil. Like, you're gonna let people
El
die.
Diablo, right?
El Diablo.
Yes, El Diablo. And then he's going over the girl's necklace, which he clearly bought with Mary's money.
It was like he was trying to goad her, like, hey, you wanna know where the
Yes.
money went? It's on the whore's neck.
Ta-da!
It wasn't that pretty of a necklace, though, I'm not gonna lie.
It was very gaudy.
Yeah. Side note.
Side note. But yeah, he just never, ever stops and never... He's always conniving and trying to get more power and more power and more power. It's like, you are the king of Scotland. Just, like, be happy. Chill.
Yeah.
Like, you can live a plush life if you would just chill.
Well, and then as we saw at the end, hopefully all you guys have watched, is he's collaborating with Reverend Knox,
Right.
Mary's biggest enemy. And he even says that he will agree to convert
Yeah.
and be Protestant just to like secure his position. Like, how much of a snake can you be? Like, there's like the line of like where I thought Donnelly would go, and he just like surpassed that. Like, there's no line left to be had.
He's what my mom would call lower than a snake. That's like one of her favorite sayings. Yeah, lower than a snake. I mean, that is the lowest of the low, completely.
Like, Reverend Knox,
Yeah.
really? That's
Yeah.
how low you will go? He wants
especially-
Mary dead, which
Yes.
means your child will be dead.
Exactly. And we did see actually Mary talking to John Knox at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
I mean, he just finds himself wherever he can to quote unquote preach the word. But in the meantime, he's trying to make, Mary's counsel be against her. Everything. Like, he is at the center of everything.
Well, he's extremely sexist, as we know. He
Right.
does not care about anything besides having a man at the
male.
throne. Like, the fact that he's even working together with Donnelly, I mean, he knows that this guy is plotting against his own wife. That's the kind of king you want for Scotland? Like, Reverend Knox only cares about the fact that Mary's a female and Elizabeth's a female.
Right.
Like, he can't set his ego and his sexism aside. He would rather have a snake at the throne, unless he's ultimately planning to get Donnelly off the throne too by saying, well, he's not even really Scottish. So we never really know what Reverend Knox is thinking. But I will tell you one thing. Reverend Knox is a really good, sneaky... I'm going to leave the last part. You guys can put that in yourself. But, like, how low can Reverend Knox go? But he seems to just always, every time he's in, like, a predicament, he always seems to come out on top.
He's a smart guy. He figured out Mary's weak spots. He figured out, especially after his wife was caught spying, or James was caught spying by, doing the deed with his wife.
Yeah.
He's very smart and he's very ruthless.
Yeah.
And Mary, for a second, and even Elizabeth, just can't let their guard down because of this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just going to stop at nothing until these two women are not on the throne anymore and there's a male.
But I wonder just how much of a blow that was to his ego, as we saw a few episodes ago with what his wife did to him. But he's still able to be, like, calm and calculated. Like any other man that knew that their wife was cheating on them with the queen's brother, probably have them beheaded or tar and feather them. So I thought he was being compassionate, but after today's episode, he's on point. Like, he knows how to set his emotions aside.
Right.
And his end game is remove Mary, remove Elizabeth. That's all he's like tunnel vision.
Yeah, he is.
You have to give him props on that.
I do. I mean, for that, yeah. He set a goal and he's going after it.
Yeah.
Can't knock a guy for that. I don't like the goal.
I don't either.
I'm not about that goal. But I mean, he's doing what he has to. And it'll be interesting to see where that goes, especially in the next episode.
I can't imagine.
I know. Let's talk about the whole plan. After Mary finds out that Darnley has taken all of her money for the most part, he's a piece of work.
Literally.
Yeah, her and Bothwell and Rizzio come up with a plan to get it back. It's a risky plan.
Yeah.
So risky.
I was like, what are you doing? Like, he's not going to notice that you're missing from his ceremony.
Okay, well, here's the thing, and I will give this to her, because he's normally pretty wasted.
Yeah.
I mean, he can throw back some wine with the best of them.
Yes,
for
he can.
sure, for sure. So it wasn't too far-fetched, but I think it was a little bit too quickly that they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that scene, I remember looking over and I was like, he's going to notice Mary's gone. Like, how is this all going to pan out? And of course, the money, or most of it, was spent, or a good amount of it was spent on obviously gaudy jewelry and other things. And then we find out that he's been buying property from other, lords and stuff to kind of like reassert himself. So it's like, just when I think that Donnelly's an idiot, he kind of like has really like strong Reverend Knox capabilities.
Right.
Where, like, just when you think, oh my God, he spent money on a prostitute's piece of jewelry, like, no, he was actually buying up territories to reassert himself and to give himself power and strength and influence. And it's like, I just hate him.
Right, and it's like that's his end game. And if you recall, like back to before he married Mary, he didn't want any of that. He just wanted to be with his lady, and that was it. And then now it's just like so vindictive.
He like wants it all.
He wants it all, like all. He wants all the things, you know?
Give it all to me.
Exactly, and he's not going to stop at anything to get that. I mean, he loathes Mary. I mean, they loathe each other.
Yeah.
I would hate to be in a marriage like that.
That kiss was so awkward.
I was like, get your hands off of her.
Oh my God, and he's like kissing her, and then she gives like this like face, and then she like wipes her mouth, like as if that's not obvious.
Right.
And he totally was doing it to spite Lord Bothwell, which I guess was a good reason for him to get up and dismiss. So it's like less obvious, which I think kind of allowed them conveniently for him to exit where he wouldn't even notice anything. But he's just so spiteful.
He is.
And I actually, as I said in the last episode, I really had hope for them. I was hoping like she would have the end happily ever after. And as we see, she's literally like, this is her punishment. And I hate to say this, but I'm a strong believer in karma. And I feel like all her misgivings that she did in the last couple seasons, you know, she turned against Francis and had an affair with Conde. And I kind of feel like maybe that's coming back to bite her in the rear end. Like, this is her karma for what happened with Conde.
Maybe.
I mean, I love Mary, so I don't think she deserves it. But
Yeah, we love Mary. We do.
Team Mary all the way.
Exactly. I don't know if anyone deserves
Nobody
this
does.
guy.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. My goodness. I mean, I do like her and Bothwell.
I do too.
I do like that. So getting back to the whole plot to get the money back, turns out they get the money, take it to the church, so it's safe. They can, help Scotland. Yeah. She can be a good queen, as she is. And
she really is a good queen.
She is. She does her best. She does her best. And Darnley finds Bothwell in his house and proceeds to beat him up and take him prisoner.
You know what's in that scene? I actually thought he was gonna have him killed.
See, that's what I thought. I thought that Bothwell was going to kill him in that scene.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did.
I mean, when the sword came out, I was like, it's over. Bothwell is dead. And obviously, he struck the king.
Bothwell doesn't die.
Bothwell doesn't die.
No. Spoiler alert.
I know. Well, obviously, yeah. But that's enough reason to behead him for striking a king. So it's like, and then, obviously, Darnley just leaves. I really expected him to like finish him off or at least beat him up himself, but he left it to his men because Darnley's a coward and we all know that.
Exactly. Oh.
But what's up with this like diehard love that everybody has for Mary? I'm like low-key jealous that like all these men will do anything. It doesn't matter if they get beheaded. It doesn't matter anything. They will do anything for her.
Yeah. And
she even like has those little like disclaimers. If you go for the gold and it's the king's gold, you might be arrested for stealing from the crown.
Right.
And he's like,
I'll
done.
do it for you.
How quickly? Yes. It's everybody. Like,
everyone.
Every single person that she's ever come across will like lay dead for her.
I mean, look at her. She's gorgeous.
She is gorgeous.
She's queen. She's smart.
Yeah.
She's kind.
But it's almost like people are mesmerized by her. She has this way of just hypnotizing people to doing anything for her.
Mm-hmm. She does. I mean, she's Mary. I think she's very likable.
She is.
She's very, very likable. The character is very likable.
And she's absolutely stunning.
And she's gorgeous. And her clothes are always on point. And I mean, that's why everyone, for the most part, is always Team Mary.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're always rooting for her. And I think that's what the men probably find attractive, like really attractive, and they'll just go to the ends of the earth to do whatever. Even when they're gone and hooking up with Elizabeth, Gideon will still, shed her in a good light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, she's just so endearing. Like, even when she's talking to Lord Bothwell, she like looks at him and she's like, this means everything to me. And it's just like, even I'm watching, I'm like, God, this girl's got it good.
Yeah.
Like everybody. I mean, even from like the first 2 seasons when she cheats on her husband and Francis like still wants to be with her. It's like everybody will just lay flat for her.
It's everyone except for Darnley.
Everyone except Darnley. That is true. Actually, that's so true. But I feel like, do you ever think there was a point where he actually wanted to have a real marriage with her? Or do you think it was all for ploy?
I do. I think At the beginning, I think he did. I think he was like, okay, let's see this. But then once she kind of uncovered everything about him and saw how he worked and all of that, and then didn't give him the crown matrimonial,
Yeah.
I think it just was all downhill from then.
Do you think it was that, or do you think it was when his former love got killed? By accident, by the way. Come on, guys. She got hit by a horse.
Yeah.
Mary did not have her killed.
Right. I think it was a little bit before that.
You think so?
Yeah, I think it was going down a little bit before that. And then when that happened, it was like, that's it. Done.
They would have made a
Done
beautiful
and
couple.
done. Yeah.
Well, technically they're still together, so they still make a
They're still
beautiful
together,
couple.
but they're on the fritz for sure.
Well, I mean, the episode ends with Lord Bothwell telling Mary, basically, we need to have him killed.
Right.
And even then, she still has compassion, and it's like, no wonder these men love her, because she should have him killed. I mean, the guy's plotting
Absolutely.
against her, and even then she's like, no, he's the father of my child. I can't have my child raised without a father.
Yeah, I was hoping for like a Catherine moment in that we're like, yes, we need to kill him, you know?
Could she be any more perfect, though? Like, even when she cheats, even when she needs to have people killed, she's just so graceful about it.
She's always graceful.
She needs to write a
Always
book
graceful.
on how to be a queen.
Her and Catherine both, my goodness. I'm really waiting for that moment where she's just like, we need to get rid of Darnley. Because you know it's coming. He's the worst.
Yeah, absolutely.
She cannot continue on being like this because he's never going to stop. And it's either the crown or him.
Well, and she doesn't have the heart to get rid of him. So,
Or does she?
I think because he's the father of her child, she doesn't. But maybe
But he's threatening to tell people it's not him.
that's true. And obviously,
Yeah.
Bothwell's in the picture.
Exactly.
But so I remember in the scene, he said to her, oh, he's kind of like questioning, like, is it even my child? Like, given the whole Bothwell situation. And Mary even then is like defending herself. If that was me, I'd be like, it's none of your business. You're king. You don't even care if the baby's dead or alive. Why do you care if it's yours? But she's like, no, I've never done anything with him. And she didn't, obviously.
she hasn't.
I don't
Yeah.
think he believes her, though.
No, I think he believes her. I think he's just being a total douche. I think he's just like, I'm going to say it just to say it, just to poke and to prod at you.
Yeah.
Because if that ever were to get out that it wasn't mine and that's an illegitimate heir, then you'll have to deal with that.
And obviously people are going to believe him because he's made his way with the lords and like buying up properties and stuff like that. So.
And then that makes him more powerful and makes her look like not a fit queen.
I think we need James back.
Yes. We need James. We need Bash. We need a whole bunch of people back.
Could you imagine if she had James back, Bash back, and then she has her little, like, she's like sitting on the throne, and it's like she has Rizzo and Bothwell, which is in prison, so hopefully he gets out. And then we have Bash, and then we have James. Like, she's so secure.
Right.
Like, she has family, she has love, she has men that will, like, die for her.
Yeah. She needs that. She needs that support system. But at least she has Bothwell and Rizzo, so that's good.
To compare Mary and Elizabeth, Mary is so much more secure in the love around her than
Yeah.
Elizabeth. And honestly, I feel so bad for Elizabeth. Like, poor girl. Can she get her own little crew?
Yeah, because she just has Gideon. That's it. Like
And even Gideon, she knows, was in love with Mary. So it's like,
Yeah.
I think in the back of her head, because us women, we like to remember everything.
Oh, everything. We're like elephants.
We're like, side note,
Yeah,
he was still in
exactly.
love with Mary too.
Yeah.
And then he just obviously protected her in the last episode with the whole like potential coup thing. So it's like Elizabeth has just Gideon. And then even her right hand, which is Jane, now she's like, can I trust Jane? Should I kill Jane? She like threatens to kill her whole family if she says
Should've
anything.
killed her.
And then Mary just has like everybody.
Yeah.
She even has Greer still.
She has Greer. That's right. She does have Greer. Yeah, Mary has a lot of a better support system than Elizabeth does. That's definitely for sure. Yeah. So I think that did we forget anything? Does that wrap up pretty much Scotland? Yeah?
Yeah, that wraps up Scotland for sure.
All right. So let's do Castle Corner and then we'll get into predictions after that.
Okay, perfect.
Castle Corner.
So
we
this
got a
week's-
pretty one this week.
Oh my God, this castle corner is to die for.
Yeah. All right. So go ahead.
Okay, so the one that we're talking about today is actually called the Swallow's Nest. It's in Russia. It's absolutely stunning. If you guys can see that view, it's to die for.
Yeah, it's really pretty.
And once again, just like the castle from last week, it's kind of on the ledge, and because it's made of stone, it virtually looks like it's coming out of the mountain. And it's just, I mean, look at it.
It looks like Cinderella's castle,
It
but
does.
like right on the ocean.
It's funny because we were talking about this earlier, and I obviously love the whole like romanticism and like the Cinderella story. As you can tell, Team Prairie. But this castle was obviously a lot smaller. It was built between 1911 and 1912, so it's a more recent castle. And it's 130 feet high off the Aurora Cliff. And it's a Russian castle. It's perched off, it's like kind of precariously perched off the cliff of the Crimean Sea. And the building is obviously, it says it's a lot more compact. It measures 66 feet long, which is really not that big.
That's not that big.
Yeah, it's not big at all.
It's a beautiful rotunda right there.
And it has a foyer, it has a guest room, it has a gorgeous like stairway to the tower. And there's only 2 bedrooms on 2 different levels within the tower.
Wow, that's really small.
Yeah,
for
it's
a
only a
castle.
2-bedroom castle.
But you know, when it's that gorgeous, it's like, that's okay.
It doesn't even matter.
Yeah, that's okay. It's really, really pretty.
So it has a lot of wooden panels, and then obviously it's like stuccoed. And so the Swallow's Nest, it was built literally on the edge of the cliff, and it has a balcony, as you can see, with the rock face. And then it's so funny. So I always think when I see a castle like this, like, what would happen if there's an earthquake? Like, would the castle
Right.
come tumbling down?
Right.
So ironically, there was a huge earthquake in 1927, and it was like a 7 on the Richter scale, which is pretty
That's
crazy.
big. Yeah, that's pretty big.
And obviously the castle survived. They said there was a little bit of cracks in the infrastructure, so hopefully if there's another
Wow.
earthquake, it does not come tumbling down. But it survived, so we know that.
It was built sturdy.
Yeah. They did do some renovations to it in 1975. It's now an Italian restaurant. So maybe you and I need to get a ticket to go to
Yeah,
Russia.
no kidding.
Seriously.
Check this out.
So if you guys are ever in Russia, this is a gorgeous castle, and it's actually been converted into a restaurant now. I wonder what it's like, though. I wonder if the reservations are like
Really hard to get.
a year out, because
Right.
it's so small and it's
Yeah.
obviously not that big.
And it's got a gorgeous view.
And obviously because of its inspiring location, the castle was used for a lot of exterior shots when they film movies.
Ah,
So you've probably seen this castle in a lot of movies.
Yeah. Great castle corner.
I love it.
We love it. We love it. All right, let's get into predictions.
Yes, let's do this.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Okay, I'm gonna let you go first.
Why me?
Oh, well, who do you think Jane is writing to? We'll start with that.
Okay.
Because we're gonna save that for predictions.
I think Jane is writing to Queen Catherine. I don't know why I got that feeling. That was like my initial feeling. Obviously, there's lots of people she could be writing to. She could be writing to Reverend Knox, which, as we know, can be very manipulative. But I just feel like Catherine's just got everything covered, and she kind of has like spies in different areas. So I think she potentially has Jane as her spy to write to her, kind of to make sure she's keeping a balance in her own throne, because as you know, there's questions with Charles, and then her other son wants to be the king, and then Spain sitting there like with the puppet strings and like kind of meddling into everything. And I just think that that's her way of kind of keeping ties into every single location. And then obviously she has Mary, so she doesn't need any spies in Scotland.
Right.
So I definitely think it's probably Queen Catherine. If I were to say my top 2, one would be Queen Catherine, and then the other one would be Reverend Knox.
Okay.
What do you
All
think?
right. So I think, at first I thought it was Knox, but then you said something that totally sparked an idea in me, and I actually think it might be the Duke. Because...
You think so?
Yeah, I think it might be the Duke, the Archduke, because we know Elizabeth doesn't get married, and so he saw Elizabeth and Gideon. We saw that one shot, and
Yeah.
it was very like, pay attention to this,
Yeah.
you know? So I think that sparked something in him. He found a spy in court, and I think that's his spy, and she's writing to him to tell him exactly what's going on.
That's incredible. If you actually think about that, but what do you think would have gotten her to spy on him? You think it's money, or like he's using her kind of as like a love tool?
It could
to
be
get her?
money. Yeah, it could be money because, I mean, she's a servant, so she can't be making, as much as probably she wanted to. And I also think that, I can't remember who, he was talking to someone in that scene, right?
He was going up the steps
going
and
up
he was
the
talking to
steps.
somebody, which now I'm going to go
Now
look
I'm
back.
like, was it
Now we're
her?
checking.
Exactly. Was it her that he was talking to? That could be, I think that could be it. It's either that or I think Knox.
But why would he care? If he marries Elizabeth, he's going to be king. I know he claimed...
She's not a virgin, though, and he's Catholic. Like, that's a big deal.
And he did also mention that he wanted to attempt at a real marriage, but then again, everybody says that.
Right.
And the only person that means it is Luke. Mm-hmm. We love Luke.
Claude, looking at you.
I know, right?
Exactly.
Get it together, girl. You lost him.
Exactly. So I think it might be the Duke. If it's not him, it's definitely Knox, because he's just got his tentacles in everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he does. Let's see, other predictions. I think Elizabeth and Gideon, that's going to come to light pretty soon. I think people are going to find out from this Jane character, or from the Archduke. I think the Duke is going to say, like, I know something's going on, so I can't marry you. I think that's how that's going to go down. And then Mary and Darnley, just waiting for the takeout of Darnley completely. I know it's coming. I thought it was coming this episode, but yeah.
Okay, my thoughts on Mary and Darnley is he was like a little rattlesnake, like in the ground, and she just let this like rattlesnake grow into like this anaconda. Cut the snake off at the head. Like she just, she's got to handle it. I don't think she has what it takes to be that spiteful. So I'm kind of thinking maybe somehow Catherine will get involved, or she'll have some kind of other assistance, or hopefully just Bothwell will handle him, because Mary's just too loving. Like, I can't see her actually being responsible for his death. Like, she can't have anybody killed. Maybe James will come back and kill him. James, just come back and kill him, please. But yeah, they're definitely going to come to an end. Right. I mean, obviously we know that.
Right.
And it just, the sooner the better. But I kind of like having him around because
it's interesting.
My heart like starts pounding when he just, everything he does, I'm like, what? Like, why? Why does she not kill him?
Right.
Why doesn't she get rid of him? And just when you think he's gone, she like got rid of him from court. He's back at court.
Yeah. He gets what he wants.
He's growing and growing and growing, and now he's collaborating with Knox. Like, she needs to cut it off at the head, literally.
Yeah, totally. And you know what? That's a testament, I think, to the actor, because Will, and he's been on this show before. So if you go back, I think like 4 or 5 episodes, you did. You totally missed it. Awesome guy, super nice guy, and just to watch like the difference between him and his character, that he is an amazing actor.
Yeah, I mean,
like, I am totally sold on the Darnley character. He's an amazing, amazing actor. So it'll be interesting to see and fun to see what he does after the show.
Well, I'm not personally, or nor do I have anything personally against Will,
right.
But I mean, you're absolutely right. The fact that like I hate him so much.
Right? He did his job.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Like I literally sit there and like my heart starts pounding. I'm like, what is she doing? Get rid of him.
Right.
He just is, he never ceases to amaze me with how low he can go.
Yeah. That's good acting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think that wraps up everything. Be sure to tune in next week. We have a special guest.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
Yes. Nicole, the actress who plays Nicole, is going to be in. And also, I think some other guests possibly. Don't quote me on that, but
Nicole's actually been tweeting us. Did you get her tweets?
I haven't.
She actually tweeted me when I said that Nicole is the female version of Narcisse.
Oh, yes.
And then she quoted me, and then she put like the rolling the eyes face. But I mean, we love you, Nicole. We can't wait to have you next week.
Cannot wait. And so if you guys want to send her questions our way, that would be awesome. You guys can tweet at us. You can use the hashtag ABTV Reign. Or you can leave, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can leave a comment in the comment section below, and we'll kind of pull from all of those and get her the questions. That way you guys can get your questions answered, because that happened last time, and it was great, and they loved the questions. So yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, where can the good people find you?
So you guys can find me at Lina Noory, as I said earlier, on Instagram, and then you can tweet us you can tweet me at Lina Noory _. And like she said, send us your predictions. I would love to see what everyone else thinks.
Right? Exactly. And you guys can follow me at Alina Vision on all social media. Tweet us, tweet the show, and we'll see you guys next week.
We love you guys. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later. Bye.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.